a better Nigeria? Is it a myth, or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju. Hi, my name is Onari, and this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. For a couple of weeks on the program, we've been talking about the role of the citizens in ensuring good governance. Today, I have in the studio Adams Lojok. You're welcome, Adams.
Thank you.
Obi Brown.
Thanks, Onari.
And our chief resource person, Dr. Reju. It's always good to have you guys.
Thanks, Onari.
All right, let's get to the discussions. Obi, give it a go.
Mentioned something very, very critical, and we've actually been mentioning it over the last couple of weeks. The ethnic divide, the religious divide. And you have said something which has become my mantra. The way an Igbo man feels hungry is not different from the way a Igbo man feels hungry. When hunger comes, everybody will shout.
Everybody.
We have used it, and we don't seem to be able to make any leap forward because of that. What can we do now? I'm talking strategies, right? We have our philosophy right. We need to confront this monster of ethnic and religious divide. Can we begin to sort of ideate some strategies? What can you do where you are, with what you have, with whom you know?
When you talk about strategies, they're actually right there at our fingertips. Right there at our fingertips. Hardly will you find a Nigerian who doesn't have a friend across the divide. Now, what do we do with that? We need to consciously, because we have not been without government plans, which are laudable. We spoke about Unity School, we spoke about, National Youth Service and all those kind of things. But number one, those things are not based on any kind of sincere. It's not that they really want to see any form of integration, right? It's just to put something out there that looks good. But we need to convert such things into a movement, right? Because we're still talking about mentoring. Can we have a situation where we set up movements within schools and something that is well articulated? A people need to come together. I would love to be part of that. That what we are for, right, is Nigeria. And many times people go that route. They want to de-emphasize tribes. That's wrong. We need to first of all acknowledge our differences. Acknowledge our differences in culture. Acknowledge our differences in religion. Right? Let us accept it. Acknowledge it. That we are different. Now, where is the point of contact? Let's look for the things that unites, because they are more than what divides. They are more than what divides. So there need to be a group of people that can sit down, draw up a plan, articulate it, turn it to a movement, begin to win disciples, so to say. Begin to win converts for it. Begin to have people buy into it. Then we can create narratives. We can have campaigns on it. It has to be so. And if that's going to work, it must be sustained for a pretty long time. And that, to me, needs to go down. Look at simple things like what we did in our school. If you pick the admission form of our school, there's no state of origin. There's no tribe. It's deliberate. Right? It seems small. Right? People still come, and they still introduce themselves, I'm from this local government. There's nothing wrong with that. But we must also say that that we are first of all human beings.
Absolutely.
We are human beings.
Yeah.
Right. We are human beings. So where we're getting it wrong is that we want to explain away our differences. We need to first of all acknowledge that we're different. Right?
Or maybe overemphasize our differences.
Yeah.
Overemphasize.
It's two extremes. People want to live in denial. No, don't bring the Yoruba thing. Don't bring the Igbo thing. Right? Let's bring it. Let's acknowledge where we are different. And let's also identify what unites us. That now must be converted into like a sustained movement. I did my dissertation. Part of it was about, the indigenous settler kind of challenge. In this area, indigenous settler kind of, and I discovered that some of people that we call settler, they know no other place than this place. They are great, maybe they are like 4th, 5th generation that have settled here. There is no other place to call home. And they remain settlers forever. Let's adopt the settler title. Right? Let's agree they are settlers. But you see, in living, in daily experience, settler does not discriminate. Settler actually integrates. Right?
Okay.
It actually integrates. The indigene also does not discriminate. So that we don't live in this mutual fear. And again, it has to be understood that, I need to keep repeating, only a few people throw up those sentiments for their own selfish end. They don't love the settler. They don't love the indigene. You remember the discussion I said I had with that taxi guy who said the governor, when he was campaigning, promised them an emirate. I said, which one will you prefer? An emir or a loan fund that can give you your own taxi? He said, emir not going to give me taxi. I beg, I prefer the loan fund. Because the guy has never had that other side of it. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have an emir or have an emir. If it works, fine. If it's going to cause division, it should be trashed. Right? So, the point is this. It's a humongous task. But we have to be strategic. First of all, we must not explain away the fact that we are different. Right? And then let's begin to look for our connection point, because we do have. Like you said, we have overemphasized our differences. We judge people. Somebody comes to you, he has a black spot on top of his forehead, you already classify the person. Oh, this person must be a Muslim. There's no way you can relate with that person. You will never be able to get whatever benefit that person brings to the table. You had the person accent, he said oil. You say this guy is Igbo. Right? You see somebody speaking in English and he's trying to sing, you say he's Yoruba. I'm sorry if I've abused but you see, it's to bring you home. We are different. Right? Just like the black man is different from the white man. But when you begin to have things they call in America the white supremacists, that's where the problem is. You see, it's not only Nigeria. Right? When America wrote that all men are equal, it took them 200 years to abolish slavery. And they said all men are equal. It's not only here. But you see, here is just that we overemphasize our challenge. Americans are different. There is still racism in America. They are fighting it daily. Fighting it daily. You have a whole city of 80% black. The police force is 90% white. There's no, it causes a tension. But when problems rear its heads, we begin to look for solutions. We need to be strategic. But I believe that the youth in Nigeria have a peculiar challenge. They have been marginalized. They have been weakened economically. They have been weakened socially. They have been weakened educationally. Mentally, they are down there. They have been terribly rendered. So they have to rise up and say that we have something in common. Right? We have been deprived of many things. Whether you're a Hausa youth, an Igbo youth, a Yoruba youth, Tiv or whatever, you have the you have a common challenge that you need to mount a united front against whosoever have been denying us, of all these kind of things. A 23-year-old man in the 60s was already a member of House of Assembly or a Constitutional Assembly. A 23-year-old man today is nowhere. Babangida was in his 30s when he was head of state. That's the truth. Look at a 30-year-old man today, still looking for a job. Still trying to find his bearing. I'm not saying anybody should go violent. That's not what I'm campaigning for. But we have a peculiar challenge. What has been used against us is our differences. Now, those differences that they have created and amplified has also shown clearly what unites us. Let's also embrace that.
Yeah, so can anything be done from the family level?
on this?
Oh, sure. In fact, that's really one basic place that you can start this thing, because somebody who will make the kind of statement you say your friend made on Facebook, you must have heard it from the family. You know, you must have heard it from, maybe the dad doesn't even mean any harm. Maybe the dad too got it from generations and generations and generations, where we have this kind of prejudicial, kind of comments. You know, we need to start from there. Like I said, what we are trying to do in our own little way in our school, I don't want an Emeka to see something that's different between him and Femi. Because Emeka is just a name. Femi is just a name. So people can be taught to love as people can be also taught to hate. And it's always informal. You just create the atmosphere. You just create the atmosphere. I had something so tragic a few months ago, where they said that in a secondary school, they have to choose a senior prefect of a secondary school based on ethnic, religious sentiments. Now, that's toxic. That is perpetuating something that has kept this country in this kind of state since independence. When you make, employment into the civil service base, one of the things that we thought is good is this federal character. Why don't we talk about merit? If you're going to do merit, make the society broad. Put value on every kind of vocation. When you do better character so that somebody that has something like catchment area, it further divides. It raises all manner of hatred. That somebody is taking what belongs to me because of where I come from. I shouldn't be privileged to go to university by virtue of where I come from. It should be based on what I record in WASC. Yeah. It should be. So, but when we do all this, they might mean well. Maybe work for a time, but it doesn't portend a good future for us. It does not. I shouldn't be denied or given admission to a higher institution based on where I come from. It should be based on, my marks. I don't even believe it should be based on whether sex, whether male or female. It should be based on my marks. Because like I always say, there is no biology for female. There's no biology for Igbos. There's no physics for Hausa man. It's the same syllabus, right? Because when I went to secondary school, when you pass out your Form 5, as it was called in those days, this is where you normally say, now I am Mr. Because when you finish Form 5, it means you can start life. You can start life. You can use your WASC to go and look for a job and start life. You don't have to go to university. Because in that secondary school, you will have learned woodwork, you will have done technical drawing, you will have done metal work, right? You can start a vocation. Then you can go from there and go and hone your skill in those areas. But all those things are dead because we are fighting petty wars. We are, all those kind of things. There must be a new generation that can really, really say that, look, what's really going on here? This thing is not getting us anywhere. It's only benefited some few people. Right? Don't let anybody come and play a religious card for me. Don't tell me this is a Muslim, this is a Christian, this is an idol worshiper. No. Those things don't. It doesn't mean anything, right? Every human being, we're looking for something, good source of livelihood. If there is power failure in my house, the way the thing is the way it is in the house of somebody who is not for my tribe.
But sir, the sentiment is always that there's some tribes that seem to be more competitive, more educated, and everything. And if it's strictly based on merit, to lose out. That has always been the sentiment.
I look at it. I'm sorry if I'm cutting it. I look at it in terms of uniqueness. Even different human beings. It's not okay. Let me historically just say that maybe Igbos are very competitive, very aggressive, business-wise, highly entrepreneurial. It's not all Igbos. I've met laid-back Igbos. Right? I've met some. They don't want them. I've seen Hausas who are very, very entrepreneurial. Absolutely. Those things are not true. It depends on people's upbringing. Right? I've seen Yorubas who don't like to go to school. Because they said they are illiterate in Ekiti, where you have a lot of professors. That's the truth. It's just orientation. Maybe family background. Because Adams raised the issue of family. Maybe family background. Right? You can have families where they value education. You can have families where they value farming. You can have families where they just do business. The guy doesn't have any business going to get a degree somewhere. Get in the family business, and you have families where they build an atmosphere where people had to fend for themselves. I always tell people about my dad. He had a lot of children and he only buys one set of books. You are not permitted to fail. He buys one set of books. If you fail, you don't have books. Because your junior one is going to take over your books. We only write our surnames in our books. Your junior one is going to take over. So that puts a pressure on me. I must be brilliant. I have to be brilliant. That's the way it is. So this thing is not really, there's nothing in the Igbo blood or the Hausa blood that says this is the way they are. You see, let me tell you, you are a Muslim because that's where you were born. You are Christian because that's where you were born. Few change it. That's the truth. Nobody had the choice to choose. You didn't have the opportunity to choose to be an Igbo man. Right? If any of you will choose out there, you want to be an American because you are doing visa lottery. We didn't have the merit of choosing. Right? So these things are providential. But once we land here, we live in the same atmosphere. We breathe the same air. That means there's something that's really common to all of us. I don't think there's oxygen meant for Hausa people. Right? I don't think so.
I've not seen
it. As much as I don't like science, I've not seen any scientist who will tell me this oxygen is custom made for Igbo man. This thing might sound simplistic, but it's something we need to, go after headlong. Know that this is a challenge. A lot of people have said that let's part ways. Where's to where?
You mean the nation?
Yeah. But at the time in this program we said that why don't we have a United Tribes of Nigeria? United Tribes of Nigeria, where people can choose how they are going to govern in their own areas. That might work, but who says the Yorubas are united? Who says the Igbos are united? I'm not saying they are not, but it's just a prescription. I would love that, because the way out of this, first of all, we need to acknowledge our differences. Let us know that we are different. There are also things that are common to us. Let's emphasize that. There is no nation on earth where they don't have differences. You've seen it as if it's only Africa. Hutus and Tutsis. Which one? This Adamawa State in those days, in Takum, where Jokuns and Kutebs, and all those kind of Igbo, Urobos and Ishekiris, Ijos, and it's all there. But this time, all these groups, at the time they lived together, they intermarried. I had a guy who lived with me here in Jos. The father is Jokun, the mom is Kuteb. I said, so which one are you going to kill? Because you are talking off air about interdating, and might sound a bit childish or whatever, but it works. The robots and the Shekris have so intermarried that it's impossible for them to say they want to totally annihilate each other. Right? So, but when I listen to a man my age or a bit maybe younger than me, maybe a man Adam's age, a woman Onari's age, and he's talking about marriage and he's saying I need to marry from my tribe, I just want to die. He said we don't have hope. Because the person you want to marry for a man is first of all a girl. Right? It's really something we have to attack headlong. It won't happen because we said it on this program. Right? It won't happen. But I think we've made a point, and we can really start from there.
Obi Adams, what else do we have?
All right. So honestly, we've had some fantastic discussions.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, what do we have? Where do we start from? To everybody listening.
In fact, every generation has. Okay, maybe I'll put it this way. Whatever challenge that a generation is being faced with, that challenge comes with its own solution. I just spoke about creating a movement, having a sustained movement. If there is a time in the history of mankind that is easiest to actually have a movement, it is now. Look at the power of the social media. Look at the ease with which people can connect. Look at how easy it is to sell an ideology, to actually proliferate value system. It's now because of social media. But look at what it has been subjected to. You know, we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have all kinds of ways, but we've not maximized the potential of these platforms, right? Maybe we need to first of all reorientate people what this thing can do. It was Facebook, Twitter, and chat that removed the whole government in Egypt. But you see, in Nigeria, we basically post, I'm sorry, nonsense. I just woke up this morning, put it on Twitter. You know, I'm going somewhere. If I used to do that too, I stopped because I got tired of it. I'm going somewhere. Who cares? I'm not saying we shouldn't do all these kind of things. Let them be aside. And let's use it, you know, for something that's positive. We can use it to address, you know, the critical issues of our society. And that's where you start it. Like what you say you did to your friend who posted something, you know, expressing some negative ethnic kind of sentiment. That's where it actually starts from. In that kind of place, you want to be able to bring up good debates, good dialogue, because how a narrative is created is to generate debates, and then from that debate, from that intelligent discussion, and you see, this is where I'm going to like it. If we start that, you will discover that the problems will rear them, you know, their heads. People will come, express some pessimistic attitudes, and they've done it before. People will come and still, you know, because sometimes when I read newspapers online, where I read most are the comments, you see that if that person is supporting a particular person from a particular ethnic group, everybody from that ethnic group will write things which are complimentary. And some people go for saying, you stupid Igbo man, you stupid, and it is in that kind of place you come, in the midst of that you bring people out of that unreal world to the real world. That there is, what are we really talking about here? Is it the fact that somebody is Igbo or Hausa or Yoruba? Why don't we look at the issue? When people who have this kind of belief system that we're talking about begin to rear their heads in those places, because if people are not told, they will continue. They will just continue. And that's why it still brings me back to the issue of mentoring. You know, because you can mentor, it's not only elder, younger. You can mentor through this kind of platform by raising a new, thought pattern. And making sure that you're never tired. You want to wear those who maintain the wrong status quo, you want to wear them out. That's why I say it must be sustained. You want to begin to share with people who have the same kind of mentality like you. Oh boy, oh girl, let's stay on this issue. This is our problem. If we are going to break as a country, we should have broken. But we are still here, right? And we need to stay on this. I don't want to prejudge. So social media is the key here, really. And, because again, people don't write again. We just have all these tweets and all posts. People don't write feature articles again. We need to have such people who can really put these thoughts down articulately, put it in blogs. In fact, blogs is becoming like old-fashioned because people do just catchy phrases now, just a little phrase, just tweet this. And people get used to all those kind of things. We need to generate that and then maybe go to schools. You see, I said that this movement has to be sustained because this thing won't change overnight. It won't change overnight. If we don't stay with it, it will fizzle out. We have to be able to now take steps back, to those minds that are not yet formed and begin to work with those ones. And I say that people always think I just talk, doom and gloom. And no, Nigeria didn't get here in one day. We need to be able to develop a new breed, right? A new breed. Go to primary school, secondary school, teach them the value of the national anthem. One lady said that they had to cancel history in schools. You see, that's an assault. That's something that is really aimed at getting something done by evil people, right? If we don't know history, we will only repeat the bad parts of it. If we don't learn history, we will repeat the negative ones. because we've not learned any lesson. People need to know how this country really came to be. And then you can really have proper diagnosis of our challenge. Our military is stratified along ethnic lines. Business is stratified along ethnic. Politics, forget it. Right? Even marriage is getting there. People marry from their tribes and all those kind of things. It won't take us anywhere. Right? So we need to begin to promote a new kind of thought pattern. And I believe social media gives us a very good takeoff point. There must be a generation, a group of people who want to use social media, for all the good of it, not the frivolities of it. For those who have noticed, I've been off social media for a while because I'm just tired of what's going on there. People put a Bible verse, people put just one catchy phrase, one inspirational thought that is just not producing anything. Can there be another group of people there who want to really generate intelligent discussion? Promising something that can really promote good neighborliness. Something that can identify the basic challenge that we have. To me, if you do that, you're raising a whole new generation of people. A different stories that need to be told. Nigeria problem is big, but it's not insurmountable. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dr. Redu, thank you for waking up the would-be mentors and proteges of this age. Obi Brown, Adams Lojok, thank you guys for being on Answers with Dr. Redu today.
Thank you, Larry.
Join us again on Answers with Dr. Redu, where critical life issues are clarified.